Evening, people. We are back again. Rival Talk is back. We've got our panel debate show with some familiar faces and also with some new faces. So big up to every single one of you. Make sure you do me a favor, hit the like button, hit subscribe. My voice is just about still with us, so I'm going to try and give it a bit of a rest and let these guys do the business tonight and talk because my voice is going, man. I'm predicting it to be gone by the weekend, the way things are going. Big up to Dave, big up to Ash, big up to Adam, big up to Joe. We got Adam with us today, who has not replaced Maz, but is definitely more available than Maz of late. So big up to you, Adam. How are you, mate?
It's the best ability, really, isn't it? Availability. I'm doing well. It's good to join all you lot. I appreciate the invite.
Nah, come on, man. Absolute pleasure to have you here, man. And Joe, good to have you back, man. I know that Leeds aren't back, but you are back, and I'm glad you are back. Joe,
Dan,
man.
you rest up because I've got many questions for these three lads. Anyway, I've got. I want to set off a little bit of a debate between Dave and Ash because yes, we've got to talk Steve Cooper because Leicester fans despise him. You've got fans running on the pitch after 6 games. I think it's a little bit much. I mean, some of the stats, my mate Locks, Locks, I think he's been on here, hasn't he? And he said he's won like 2 away games in 2 or 3 years or something. And I'm like, whoa, that's a bad stat. But I know Forest fans, like, is the deity is Cooper. And Ash, Leicester fans hate him, so discuss.
Yeah, they do. I mean, the pain about it is everybody was sort of behind him knowing we were going to be on like minus 10 points at one stage, and we was like, you know what, this season's just a free hit, let's go for it, we'll see what we can do. But obviously the game changed soon as we beat the Premier League in the legal debate, and now we're sitting there like, why didn't we get Corberan or Potter? No. But I think that's tightened the pressure on him instantly, knowing that we're not going to get points deducted. And you're right, the fans are just not behind him. And by the sounds of it, in the press, the players are not too, which is a more of a concern.
Yeah. I've read that today. There's talk that he's lost his dressing room already, which, it's the thing is, Joe, the contrast between now and then is marked. I mean, what I would say with us is that, yeah, he's the deity, but he's kind of like in a context of history. I think if you ask people now, if you say like you put Steve on the table, you put Nuno on the table, everybody's going to go Nuno. Really, we have moved on. I mean, we've actually moved on. I mean, really, I can't believe where we are at the moment. I thought it'd be far tougher, or we've been more of a stickier situation than we are at the moment. But I think he's now kind of in his place in the museum, if you like, of Nottingham Forest. Clough's there, and like, Frank Clark was there, and Dave Bassett when he brought us back up, and Steve's there now. And I think a lot of people are saying we're forever grateful for what he did and where he, from where he took us to where he then, placed us in the end. But I think now we're at a different level with Nuno. I mean, Nuno's just coming off.
I've heard you getting Champions League, Dave, me.
Joseph, you know me. Joseph, you know how cautious I am.
Dawes talking about race for Europe, man.
Yeah, I know. There's a bit of a difference. I mean, we're 2 letters difference in our names. There's a bit of a big difference between Dave and Daw. I mean, I was on here last week. Dan will tell you he won't tell you because he's got no voice. But I was on here last week and I said, give me 17th. And everybody Locks and Sam, everybody, it's Asprey coming out with manager speak again. And frankly, I mean, seriously, I thought 15th at the start of the season. And we're heading into the weekend. We've got an 8th. It's a top half of the table clash against another really good side in Fulham. And the thing with Nuno is, I think it started really tepid, and it stayed tepid. But then if you say, right, Nuno, here's a test, we'll give you 2 of the hardest away fixtures, not only in this country but in world football. We'll send you to Anfield and we'll send you to the Amex and see what you come out of it with. And we've come out with 4 points. Everybody's on the Nuno train now. And I think the football, I saw it in pre-season.
Do you know I
Football-
wanted? Do you know I wanted him as Leeds United manager, and people used to take piss out of me. Oh yeah, and he'd have kept us up. He'd have kept us up.
You know what, Joe? I think that's because the people with the shorter memories have had the loudest voices. So everybody just sees Tottenham Hotspur. Me, I see Wolverhampton Wanderers. And what I would say about us at the moment, and you know, Adam might think this as well from what he saw at the Amex last Sunday. There's so many sort of developing little symmetries and parallels between what we're doing and what we've done in this, and it's still early in the season. Let's get that on the table. But there's quite a lot of similarities between the way we play and the way that Wolves team that finished, I think, 7th 2 years running was playing then. And it feels like so many of ours are on recovery missions. James Ward-Prowse, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Anthony Elanga. You know, lots of these lads have had dips in their careers. They're coming back. Nuno's had a dip in his career, and he's on a redemption mission as well. So, yeah, I think the football has definitely been more front foot. It's definitely been better to watch. I think I don't know if it's apocryphal or not, but somebody said last week that Forest had more shots at goal than any team in the league, which I can imagine. Not so much last week, but before that. You know, so at the moment it's going along nicely. If you said to anybody, right, we're going to bring Steve back from Leicester to replace Nuno with him, people won't want that. And I was one of Steve.
Do you think Steve will keep Leicester up? Because I think, I know it's not great right now, but if they give him till the end of the season, I think he'll just about do enough.
Do you know what, Joe? I've had the really weirdest feeling seeing Steve at Leicester. It just strikes me as being supremely odd. Now, when he came to Forest, you could tell he'd done his homework about the club. You could tell he'd done his homework about the city of Nottingham, and he bonded brilliantly with the city, with us, with everything. He just likes a bloke who stopped off at the services at Leicester. It just looks like it just doesn't seem to go. I don't think it's a Forest thing, because that would be childish.
Yeah,
you know, yeah. I just think the whole thing looks like it's not. It's, you know, with us he had a chemistry, and he did brilliantly for us in that time. He ran out of road, and we need to go to that next level. He was great for that particular phase of our history, right? And I wouldn't be on the show without him. Let's say that. But I just felt if we were going to go further, a Nuno with the pre-season and a Nuno with more depth of squad, a better transfer strategy, which I think we're seeing now. But at Leicester, I've watched him at Leicester, and it just feels like there's no bond between him and the King Power. There's no bond with him and the fans. There doesn't seem to be much of a bond with the players, Jim.
Ash, I'll set the cat amongst the pigeons here, right?
You've only been on 5 minutes, man.
No, but I said, right. Do you think Leicester fans, and I know you probably won't agree, but I guess open to you lads as well, Leicester have won a Premier League in recent time and won an FA Cup, but that's not the Leicester we all know. That's not Leicester City. That's a period in time where everything went well. Rodgers, everyone followed the Leicester model. We used to say we're following the Leicester model in terms of transfers, etc. You get relegated. Now, isn't this a revert back to the norm? And therefore, do you not have delusions of grandeur that you can do better than Cooper, and we should be doing better than we are because we're Leicester City and we've won the Premier League? Blackburn won the Premier League and they're in the Championship now. So I'm just thinking, like, I don't know what more at the moment. Anyway, Ash, what more do Leicester fans want? What is it like? Why do you hate him so much? Do you know what I mean?
I think what it is at the minute, Joe, is we're just in survival mode because we know that there's going to be huge sanctions if we go back down from the EFL. They are absolutely going to have our pants down.
I can't wait for that. Do you know where the only team that didn't cheat and we're fucking still in the Championship and everyone's back in the Prem?
And
I can't wait. I know exactly. We should have cheated. I know.
Yeah.
That old chestnut.
Yeah. But honestly, like, I think you've sort of hit the nail on the head there, Joe. Me growing up as a Leicester fan, we was always the yo-yo team, up, down. We even went to League One at one stage, you know, and then Mandarich bought the club, and then the King Power then took it over. And then it was their aspiration that sort of gave the Leicester fans the belief, because in the local paper, the Mercury, there was always statements saying, we're aiming for Champions League football. We want to be an established Premier League club. But time's moving. Every club's got that kind of structure in now, and owners that have took over with big money and things like that. So we've just fell by the wayside. But what I think we need to do is be realistic. If we can be doing what teams like Fulham are doing and Brentford are doing, even for the next 5-6 years, I'm
Brighton,
for
man.
that.
Brighton, that's the way,
Unreal.
innit? Brighton,
Unreal,
yeah. Villa.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent teams. I look at Villa now. I think I've said this on this show, thinking that was us 3-4 years ago. The team that were knocking on the door, trying to get in the Champions League and be that 1 point off and being in competitive games with Tielemans, Maddison, and it's just obviously fell to bits with a team that should have really stayed up. But the biggest mistake we made that season, Joe, was not getting a new goalkeeper in when we lost Kasper Schmeichel, who was the spine of our team. But in answer to Dave's question, it's not just a Forest thing, because one of our, the centre back that we love the most was from Nottingham Forest in Wes Morgan.
Wesley. I
couldn't care if a player's been to Coventry, Derby, and Forest, the same as Maddison was at Coventry. As long as they do well at our club, then the fans love him. But I agree. It just feels a wrong fit. I feel like he was given the job because he was one of the only people that was going to take it. If you want my honest opinion.
Yeah, Ash, I don't. From where I sit, mate, and it is obviously distant. You're closer to the thing. It looks to me like he won't survive. He'll either be pushed, or he'll say, do you know what? I was talking to my gaffer in the gym, right? And he's from North Wales, and we were talking about Steve, and about as a human being, he's an absolutely top fella, Steve Cooper. He's a gentleman, right? But I said to lad in the gym, who's a football man, I think Steve Cooper will end up at Wrexham. And if he doesn't, because that's where he's from, and if he doesn't end up at Wrexham, he'll end up managing Wales probably after Bellamy. I mean, the interesting point about role models in this division, for me, my role model when looking at Forest has been Brighton and Hove Albion, because Brighton when they came up under Houghton were expected to kind of make up the numbers for one season, then disappear from view. Now Brighton flirted with relegation, I think, for 2 or 3 seasons. And then all of a sudden, Brighton started to pick up results that made everybody sit up and notice. Rather like, and I'm not saying it's going to go the same way, because Brighton are now established and a brilliantly run club with the best owner in the country. He not only does he run Brighton and Hove Albion, he has horses with Willie Mullins. That's how brilliant Tony Bloom is, right? He's the best in the business. I went to the Amex at the weekend, where part of your ticket to get in the stadium is a ticket for the bus or the train from wherever you get. It's fantastic.
Just don't try and leave the stadium at full time. I
got back, Adam, from the match on Tuesday evening, I think it was. So
pretty much.
I look at us, and I kind of thought, at the start of the season, wouldn't it be nice for us to go to one of the big guns, win on their patch, and for it not to be a fluke? And then, lo and behold, out of the blue, it happened at Anfield. You know what I mean? So maybe we are good. But to me, I think Marinakis looks at what Bloom has done and has looked at the structure of Brighton and Hove Albion and their development to get to European football, which is an incredible achievement, and playing good football on a regular basis. I don't know if anybody, I mean, Palace will have their moments, but I think Brighton are as near as you can get to everybody's sort of second favourite team at the moment. There's always one of those teams that everybody kind of universally admires, apart from ridiculous.
Well, I think, we're becoming less popular. The more successful you become, the more people start hating. I think you start asking Chelsea fans, we're certainly not their second favourite club. I mean, depending on, I like them a lot because they give us a lot of money. Exactly.
Sorry, I'm late. That's a surprise. Chelsea fans don't like you. I thought that's what you do. You just support both teams.
Yeah, pretty much. It's easy for them to do that. It's weird, I think there's we keep hearing there's a lot of clubs that kind of come in and say, "Oh, we want the Brighton model," and we see that. Well, especially bring up Chelsea again, right? They basically try and buy the model and poach all the staff and everything like that. You can do whatever you want. It is Bloom. It's Bloom's setup. It's Bloom's data. It's Bloom's companies. That is the key to the club. And he's the one that saved the club. He's the one that brought it to where it is. And he's the one that puts all these succession plans in place. Because everyone keeps saying, are Brighton going to be able to do it after Potter? Or are Brighton going to be able to do it after De Zerbi? So it sort of doesn't matter. There's a style of play. There's a setup. There's a way of recruiting players. There's a way of assessing players. There's a way of selling on those players so that we have a system in place. You can only replicate that if you take Tony Bloom's mantra and style, but you can't get his data. So it's a tricky bit of business because what we've done is not really doable in many senses, right? To come up into the Premier League from basically nothing and then be in Europe years later. From the Wood, sitting on fucking scaffolding. It's just nonsense. I do wish, though, back to the other conversation, I really do wish Steve Cooper was in charge of Forest at the weekend. It was a frustrating game. It really was. It was. I
thought, Adam, for me, it felt like a draw that felt like a win, and I can imagine.
Yeah, you should feel like that. Yeah.
My view of that game, and the lads will tell you, I'm not like so one-eyed or rose-tinted spectacles. I thought Brighton were the better team, not massively the better team, but I think they had more control of the game, and they dominated that last sort of 15 before half-time, and definitely the first 20 after half-time. I mean, helped by a poor bit of marking to let Jack head in. It was a brilliant header, but somebody should have been picking him up, and then Matt Sells decided to give a masterclass in how not to arrange a wall, and said, "Go on then, Danny," and Danny did. Fair play to Danny. I mean,
hell of a free kick from Danny. I'll tell you that.
I was 4 rows from the front, and I thought to myself, he's seeing this, and he did, and he put it in. But then for us to kind of come back, I mean, when we equalised, it was totally against the run of play. It was out of the boat. It was a beautiful move, actually. So I kind of came away thinking, if somebody said to me, no, seriously, if somebody said to me, you'll have 4 points from Anfield and the Amex, I'd have been like, and I am relatively cock a hoot,
Yeah, you should be. The way that Nuno sets his teams up, and I think this is why he's a good fit for Forest, right? It didn't obviously we know it didn't work out at Spurs. It didn't work out in Saudi for him at Al Ittihad or whatever, because I don't think he works at a top team. And I mean that with the greatest respect. I'd say that about my team as well, right? But when you want a team that needs to slog it out and get hard results, you need to sit back, you need to be organized, you need to play on the counter. I think he does an incredible job. And that is our kryptonite. We cannot play against that. Teams just come to the Amex, they sit back and they counter. We've got a really high line under the new manager. I hate to say this, but we honestly don't play a million miles away from how Ange is playing the Spurs team at the moment, which is questionable, right? But we don't have Van de Ven. We've got Lewis Dunk and Jean-Paul Van Hecke. Van Hecke's an amazing player. Lewis Dunk is an amazing player, but you wouldn't say they're pacey players. And you saw that at the weekend. You ripped us apart on the counter, and we couldn't break you down, even with 10 men.
The equaliser, Adam, the equaliser was a classic example of, exposing that high line. Forest did it too last year at home and again, out the blue, because we weren't playing particularly well. We beat Villa at home last year. They did the same thing. We picked them off to win 2-0. So as you say, people the thing is with Brighton now, they've got themselves to that point where people come to the Amex think, if we play open, it's going to suit them to a T. I'm sure McKenna did it the week before, and I think Nuno did it to a certain extent. Although, having said that, Nuno was more open in his starting 11 with Elanga and Hudson-Odoi than he had been at Anfield the week before, where he basically just, the Liverpool fans were moaning, "Oh, he's flooded midfield."
It's unusual.
Liverpool should be good enough to open them up, So it's going okay at the moment.
It's not going bad for you guys. I mean, I think back to on the Leicester side of things, I know there's been a lot of all these attacks on Cooper. I mean, I think it feels a little bit hard done by, but it's easy to say that from a distance. Do you not think it's bad to say at this point, do you not think there's 3 worse teams, Ash, in the league to get this all stay up?
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Well, Ash, just quick, I just look at this. Leicester have played 7 games under Cooper, only lost 2. What on earth do they expect to have?
This is a point. They think they're Premier League, FA Cup, Champions League winner.
We have got some of the fan base that are absolutely deluded, thinking that we were going to come back up and just be straight up there. That was never going to happen. No. But I suppose you could flip that statement that's just been on there, and we've not really won any of them 7 games either. Obviously, we had the League Cup game against Tranmere, didn't we? And we won on penalties last night. But we've not won any of our league games either.
Ash, do you think as well it's him not playing Mavadidi, him not playing, and he's going with Decord over Reed and Ayew, who they got from Palace, who's just industrious. They just run. They're not. Whereas Mavadidi and Fatawu are quite exciting, aren't they? Technical players, but he's not going to play like that, is he?
No, that's the problem. And the fans are crying out because they know we've got 2 wingers there that can cause teams trouble. I think if we would have set up like that against Everton, we probably would have gave it to them. But we've let Everton come to the King Power and almost bossed the game, to be honest with you. Do you know what I'm saying? And they've been pretty bad this season. And they deserve the win against us, if I'm being 100% honest. It's just, and that's what is making the fans think it's not good enough. But then reverse sort of 2 weeks ago, and we put on a great performance at Palace and come away unlucky. It's just sort of, maybe we do need a bit more patience. But I think with finding out that we're not going to be deducted the points, every fan now at Leicester thinks that's it, we're staying up. It's not that easy in this league, and we're still down there, and we've got a squad that's going to be down there all season. So,
yeah, Ash, it's building, mate. You know where it's building to, don't you? That Friday night, October the 25th. That's what it's building to, mate. I can see it. I can see it coming. We might be playing all right, but I mean, I still have I actually still have counselling on a weekly basis. Whenever I think about that defeat that night at Leicester, when you beat us 4-0, anyway, you could have won 30 or 40 that night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember that game, Dave. I was there myself, and we absolutely did. I was just about to say to you the last time you come our place, it didn't end too well for you, but
no, mate.
The
bus broke down on the way home as well, mate.
Oh, horrible! That's gonna be like my day on Saturday, I think, mate.
Do you think, though, Ash, I look at the table. I think Wolves are looking bad, Everton looking bad. Obviously, Ipswich, Southampton, and yourselves are all up from the Championship. I thought Leicester would go down, and I still kind of do have you going down at the moment. But is there a glimmer of hope with some of the rest of the teams around you that don't look too great either, mate?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you've got we're listing them. Everton are not doing very well at all. Southampton are not doing very well at all. Ipswich, really, I know everybody wants them to do well. As a neutral, I would like to see Ipswich do well. But let's be honest, they've still not got the squad of the Premier League team. And then you've got Wolves, like you say, who are underperforming. And I hate to bring these into the conversation because they probably will press on, and they normally do. But Palace at the minute as well. They got a great draw the other night. But
bring them into the conversation, yeah.
They've not looked convincing, though, at the minute, have they, to be honest. Yeah, there are teams around us. And I think this is why, again, the fans are a little bit like, well, if we get a different manager in and switch it up, and they might play the guys on the wings, and it might change everything. Because Leicester have been so used to being ruthless with managers like we were with Ranieri. And then as soon as we get a new guy in, we start putting wins on the board. What we're forgetting is we've not got that squad of 3-4 years ago, 5 years ago.
That's the problem. Ash, that's the problem, mate. Leeds had a golden era, right? And it struggled to deal with it when it ended. We had a golden era and struggled to deal with it ended. Manchester United is still trying to deal with their golden era having come to an end. These if you like, these sort of clubs with this sort of long history, they have their mindsets set, adjusted to a certain level. And then when that level drops off, I mean, in your case, the league title was incredible. The FA Cup win was brilliant. I had the late 1970s, early 80s, and that great Forest team. Leeds sort of like 1990s were a top side champions and in Europe and all that. And it takes a while. I don't think it takes some, the clubs work hard to kind of move on and try and establish another, more success. But I think the fans sort of still live in that history to a certain extent and find it difficult to sort of equate what's happening now with what's gone on before. And I think once you separate the history from the here and now, then you're onto a more Tottenham are the worst. We talk about deluded fans. Tottenham are by far the worst. We shouldn't be signing anybody from Burnley. We shouldn't be signing anybody from Nottingham Forest. I mean, basically, what Tottenham should do.
Jamie O'Hara, what a clown, by the way, when he said that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, when he listed them players, and they were like, But you bought them from Leeds who were in Championship. I was like, you're an absolute clown, man.
Yeah,
honestly.
I mean, I don't think he can wipe his own bottom, frankly. You know what I mean? So, I mean, when I hear him talk...
Him and Gabby do it together, man. They help each
Oh.
other out, man. Takes
like
both of them to...
Can I... Genuine
dumb and
question
dumber.
but for Leicester, though, like, as in... Where do you think... How many points do you think you'd have now if you kept Maresca? Do you think it'd be different or the same? Because I'm looking at who you've played and the results. It's where I would expect it, no?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Adam. Like, I think, again, what a lot of people are twigging onto is we went to Bournemouth in the Cup last season when Maresca was in charge, and we played him off the park.
Yeah.
And again, it's the Leicester mindset. Well, if we would have had him, we would have been going to away grounds and beating Palace, and it doesn't happen like that. We all know football, lads, don't we?
Do you know what, Ash, man? It's short memories, though, because there were Leicester fans in the Championship that didn't rate Maresca because they said it were boring.
And I was a victim. I was one of those through when we were losing games, and you gave us a good hiding twice last season. I was very much the same. I was like, well, what are we going to do when we go up? What are we going to do when we go up? But if I'm being 100% honest with you, it's going to be a long old season. But that's not going to stop me again on the bus on Saturday, enjoying my day and enjoying Premier League football all year.
Good lad.
And I'm just being a realist with it. We've not got the best squad in the league. We've got the weakest team we've had in probably 7-8 years. But we're Leicester City at the end of the day. We've been spoiled. Even in my lifetime, we've been in 2 Charity Shield matches. We've won the Premier League. We've been in European Cup semi-finals. We've been in the Champions League. That'll do me. He's not going to go on forever, like you guys say. Let the other teams have the day in the sun,
Yeah, fair play to their attitude, man. Let's be real.
Potts, normally you come on these things and everyone's like bravado about their clubs and just won't shut up about, we're going to win everything. This is crazy. Why has everyone been so humble? I'm not
because if Leeds were in Prem, I wouldn't be humble. I would not be humble.
Adam, this is where the sense and common sense is like. Dan does a show called The Race for Europe, and This is London, and you'll find that the ambience there is a little different to what it is.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I've been on one of them, and there's another one I go on, and I'll tell you what, there's another Forest fan I go, honestly, you think you won, the Champions League?
I know who you mean.
Yeah.
He thinks, well, let's not talk ill of the dumb, shall we? never Adam has, and this is what never has anybody talked so much on an empty head other than me, perhaps.
I like that phrase. Yeah.
Ash, obviously at the weekend, big game, my bro. You'll be there. I think we're meeting up at some point, Andy reckons.
We are.
So that'll be good. So I look forward to seeing you, mate. How do you see this one going?
5-0. No. If I'm being 100% honest with you, Dan, you're by far going to be the best team we've played this season. But I hang on to the thing that we've been in every game. I will give Cooper that. We have actually been in every game we've played this year. So I think you'll beat us.
So why do they want him out? This is what I'm saying, man. It's crazy. We're in every game that we've played this. I want him out. Get him out. Do you know what I mean?
Locks really wants him out. Locks really
he's fuming, man. He's fuming. But again... I love Loxley, but he's an ambitious Leicester fan, isn't he? You know?
I would call him deluded.
Well, listen, I think it will be a comfortable win for Arsenal, but anything can happen in the game. Jamie Vardy rolling back the years when he scored that goal against Palace, though, right? I mean, I looked at it and thought, Jamie Vardy come back to 27 years old. So look, he's always...
and his record great against you as well, Dan.
Really good.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
But then again, now you're part of the bus, mate. Now you're Jose Mourinho Mark 2. He's got
dark art.
Now we're Simeone ball.
Exactly, mate.
Where's the dark arts? Why is everyone using the phrase dark arts? Why is that being promoted so heavily in the last?
Where's it phrase of the week, Adam?
We are in the snowflake year of 2024.
But we never heard dark arts before the last week, and now it's everywhere.
Yeah, it is unreal, isn't it? It really is.
It'll be Sauron and Mordor next week or something like that.
Yeah. I don't know. Michael Richards summed it up well a few years ago when he said, when it's Arsenal, everyone just piles on, it seems. And it's just like, this is a joke. And I don't get it. We'd use dark arts to get a point against Man City, apparently. when and we parked the bus. What a disgrace! Going down to 10 men and parking the bus. Everybody wanted us to go rock up and lose 6-2 so they could laugh. Because that didn't happen, rival fans got the right arseache. And they're like, well, it must be Arsenal being a disgrace of a club. It can't be they defended well. It's just mad. I don't get it.
Winning at the Etihad when you're down to 10 men's not for everybody. Unfortunately, Stuart Dallas 2-1. I remember that.
Stuart Dallas was it?
Yeah, straight through, man. 10 men we were, and Stuart Dallas got the winner at the end, man. That's scene. But unfortunately, we were all fucking COVID, weren't we? We were all bloody sat at home. But yeah, it was a great moment.
You know what, John, I'm going to be shameless too and just saying winning at the Etihad ain't for everyone either. So
no, I thought Palace's record there. It's that where Andros scored that worldie of a volley.
Yeah, that was one of them. One where Gallagher scored. As well. I'm clutching at straws there because obviously our start's been terrible, but you know.
Mate, you'll take it though, bro. You'll take it. Look, I personally do see a comfortable victory, but I don't know where Leicester go. Lastly on Leicester, who do you want then, Ash? Who do these fans want as the manager? Like this is what I don't get, because Locks wants the West Brom manager. What's his name?
Carlos Corberán.
That's it.
Yeah. That's sort of the name that's going across all the fan base at the minute. I mean, what I think the disappointing thing is even Fabrizio had tweeted that Potter was in the door for us at the pre-season and everybody got excited. And within 2 hours, Cooper was down Seagrave. So there was
what you could have won. It's like bullseye, mate, isn't it?
Yeah. And it was sort of, I think in a lot of Leicester fans' mind, it's, what could have been. But, you know, Corberán, it's his style of football. A lot of the fans think it would suit Leicester City and he'd do well in the Premier League. But what can I say? We've got to look at where we are. We're 15th at the minute. Are we rock bottom and been battered every game? Nope.
No.
Is he still finding his feet with a new set of players? Yes. So I'm a bit more diplomatic. I think give the guy a few more games. I'm not expecting anything at all on Saturday. Just give Arsenal a good game. It'd be great for me. But then if we're looking at it by Christmas and we're still really struggling and not getting wins on the board, then I think it'd be time to assess.
No, big up, man. Appreciate that. I really do. Oh, here we go. Talking of deluded, Joe.
Luxy.
Big up,
Luxy.
Big up, Lux. Make sure you go follow Lux. Blue tinted glasses. Big up, man. I've been on there today as well for the preview, so make sure you go check out me and Lux talking all things for this weekend. Big up to you, bro. Rich, I've got to come to you, man. Don't know what's going on at Palace at the moment, if I'm honest, but having said that, he did have Man United, but God, they're awful. I mean, they are really awful. I honestly cannot understand for the life of me why that guy is still there. This new structure that's come in place at Manchester United is supposed to be taking them back to the very top, and they're keeping hold of him. What was funny was, actually, I know we're going to talk Palace, not United, but I'll get this in quick. I was with Terry the other day on the terrace, and he said, they've come to a conclusion. They're not quite sure of his style of play. And it's like, where have you been for 2 years? Like, this guy's not got one. It's like embarrassing. But anyway, we're not talking United. We're talking Glasgow and Palace. Got to start picking it up, Rich. Is it going to happen? What's going on at the moment? Talk to me.
Well, we've gone from singing 3 points again, LA, to 1 point again, LA. At this rate. You know what? I'm not one of those fans that's going to go get the manager out, because it's going to come together. I think the hardest thing in football is to get that first win. And I think once we get that, I think we'll be okay. And it's funny, you know what? The United game for 44 minutes, we got battered. We got absolutely battered. Ezzy didn't get a chance out of nothing. Should have done better. And I would say I think we dominated the second half. Maybe not so much in possession, but definitely with chances. Sarr and Ketty had a shot, and Sarr had a double. Onana had a double save from Sarr. Ebb should have definitely scored in the second half. I kind of like a game or two halves. Herman Hazard, that is a great comment, by the way. Us playing Daichi Kamada in this 8 position doesn't work, and I don't know why Glasgow persists with it. I know he's played with him in the past. it doesn't work at all. The moment we put like Hughes in the middle of the park with Lerma, it was just a lot better, to be honest. So yeah, I'm not mad. I'm not
How's
nervous. I'm not worried.
how's Wharton playing? Because a lot of people are saying he's not been great or something.
He's not been at it, but I think it's fitness. I generally think he's fit. He got hooked at halftime against Man United. He was really struggling with the physicality. I know we're obviously 5 weeks into the season, but a lot of our players made European or international finals, and Mateta made a final for the Olympics. So, and then I think even with Mateta, I think he came straight back to pre-season. So I think it's taken the toll. I don't want to use that as an excuse because everyone's had players that's got an international duty. But yeah, I just think once we get our first win, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, listen, it's interesting. You got Eddie up top now as well, who's apparently been quite impressed with. D reckons he's done all right.
Yeah, I'm not mad at him, considering he's kind of playing as an inside 10 at the moment with Mateta up top. I think that might change this weekend, by the way. I think we're going to go Sarr, Eddie and his Ebbs, and Mateta just have a full-on rest because he was terrible against Man United. But yeah, he brings a bit of pace. He just brings us a spark, and he wants to do things quick in a team that's kind of playing a bit too slow for the fan base's liking. So yeah, I'm not mad with him.
Okay, interesting. Adam, João Pedro is out apparently. Who is actually coming in? Because I don't know where this Evan Ferguson guy's gone, but I was told he was the next Harry Kane. I haven't seen him for about 3 years. What's gone on? Where is he?
He hasn't scored for... It's going to be a year soon, which is not ideal. He had a big injury, so he was out injured for a lot of the time, but his form really dropped off after the start of last season. João Pedro is going to be out for probably at least 3 to 4 weeks, maybe a little bit longer. So probably fantasy football players are going to be pissed, but we are not happy about that. We've thankfully though, Joe handed us a fairly decent replacement.
What have you made to him, Adam?
He's been good. He hasn't obviously scored yet, and that would be nice for him to get that first goal. He's looked good in the build-up, but
goal scoring's not his forte,
Right, and I honestly, we've played against sides outside of the cup game, but he was cup tied, obviously. But we played against sides that wanted to sit back. So we've had a couple of home games in a row, right? So Ipswich and then Forest. I feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that he wants to play a little bit more on the front foot and be able to actually sort of get through the space, dribble around people, do his tricks that he does, rather than try and sit outside the box and break down a team, because it's not worked out just yet. But it remains to be seen. It's hard to be a fill-in for João Pedro, which is kind of what he's doing at the moment, because João Pedro's been far and away really our best player for the last year when he hasn't been injured.
Are you concerned about the price tag as well? Obviously, 40 million is what you paid for him, wasn't it, in the end? I think that's your record, right? Is there a lot of pressure on him because of that, or?
No, I mean, because it was that release clause, I think it's one of those things where we sort of had, well, we had to pay it. You guys weren't going to accept it.
No.
If not, right? And look, it's not my money, so we've been saving up.
Signing, me. I thought it was a weird signing. Like, not that I don't rate him. You got Welbs, who I've always liked. You got Pedro. You got this Evan Ferguson, and then you spent a hell of a lot of money on another striker in Rutter, and you got Minter as well. It's like, wow. Like, don't get me wrong, you've got firepower up top, but Rutter was a strange one for me, man.
Slightly different positions though, right, Joe? Because Rutter wants to play a bit deeper.
We played him in the 10. I think when he was at Hoffenheim, he played wide on the right or the left. And he's. Do you know what? He's a bag full of tricks, and he was a cheat code in the Championship, as was Somerville, to be fair. So, we
think he's going to come good. Like there's hopes there for him. He's young. He's got the talent. Clearly, he's just got to figure out his game a little bit more. But now up top, it's Welbeck's in great form at the moment, and
good player.
He's been a really, really good player for this club. And look, we've got a 31-year-old manager, and we've got a really young team. And you need someone like Danny Welbeck to be in there to kind of make it so that you haven't got just a bunch of teenagers running around. James Milner's having his, monthly injury at the moment. So he's the guy that needs to come in along with Lewis Duncan and sort of rally the troops, if you will. But no, we've got lots of options up front, even with João Pedro out. But he's been the talisman. It's a shame to not have him there. Evan Ferguson needs a goal. If he doesn't get a goal, it's going to be panic stations fairly soon, I think. And we've got a problem at right wing as well. Just you mentioned Minte, high hopes, played amazing against Everton. Who doesn't? We play a Dingra there as a replacement. Neither of them have been particularly impressive. And we've not been able to break down teams on that right hand side. So everyone just sort of covers Matoma and blocks the center of the pitch, and we can't really do anything. So a bit tricky. But again, it's hard to complain when you're unbeaten with a new manager. But we find a way.
A manager who's half my age. Can you believe that? Bloody hell. Life
yeah,
moves
31's crazy, isn't it? But that's the methodology. They wanted to bring in a guy that could play the football that Bloom wants the club to play. And he showed that. But we're not even really playing a system at the moment, which is why I'm hopeful for the rest of the season, especially after January. We really wanted to sign another centre-back, and we weren't able to get it done. He played 3 at the back for St. Pauli last year in the Bundesliga 2, and that's where he found all his success. Right now, he's forced to play 4 at the back, and I think he would rather switch that up, but we just don't have... There's only one position where we don't have depth at the moment, and that's centre-back.
Yeah, man. Listen, I think Brighton are impressing. I didn't know where to put Brighton, and you know you did a prediction, Daniel, or who's going to finish where. I had no idea who this.
I didn't either.
I
still don't.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard to predict what's going to happen.
There's too many unknowns with it. I don't know if anyone else feels like that about their club at the moment as well, but probably, there's so many unknowns. And Dave, you're probably feeling this, that you said at the start, you predicted 15th at the start of the season. Who knows where you end up? We could finish anywhere between 7th and 15th. I feel like that's our window, depending on how it all plays out, depending on what happens with injuries. Who knows?
I think you'll get top half, Brighton. I really do. I mean, I'll be stunned if you finish outside the top 10, Brighton. I think they're looking too powerful up top. And I think, you're right. Adam, injuries can completely change things. But I just see Brighton as too good in terms of firepower. I always think if you've got goals in your team, you've always got a chance, right, of really getting yourself up the table. And I just think that's what Brighton have. And I looked against us and I thought, although I think I still stand by, I think we would have probably beaten you with 11 men. But you was good, man. It was good. Seeing playing against you, it was like you couldn't rest for a minute. You've definitely he's a good manager, man, for sure. So look, I had no idea who he was, let alone how good he'd be. So
on the game Sunday, I thought the best player on the park was Karim Mitoma. I think he's wonderful. And I remember, me and my old man used to talk football, and outside of Forest, my dad's favourite player was, I like that little Japanese lad at Brighton, bloody good player he is. And my dad had waxed lyrical about Mitoma, you know what I mean? And I watched him last week. They can keep him fit because, like Adam says, it's a very, very young side. Apart from Donkey and Danny, if he can keep Mitoma fit, because he was a bit in and out with injury last year.
He was,
He's a quality player, that lad. And he would, every time he got the ball on Sunday, and we were kind of almost at pitch level, I kind of lost a couple of stone in weight, because he's that good.
He's electric, isn't he? The defenders don't know what to do with him, so you end up getting always the left back has to track back, a centre back comes across because he's going to beat one player. He'll always beat one, so there needs to be another one there. But he's excellent. I feel like Rich, you probably feel like maybe you got the wrong Japanese midfielder, but we're not going to do any swap arounds now. But no, he's great. Well,
no chance.
For me though, Dave, I don't know if you guys have watched how much Brighton you've watched, but we're really excited about Carlos Baleba in central.
Adam, that's a good point. Going into that match, he was the one I was kind of keen to see, and he's a good player. He's a good lad.
What is it with these, like Brighton? They get Bissouma, then it's Caicedo, now it's Baleba. They just literally, it's like a conveyor belt. Like
we're going to run out of like really good defensive midfielder / box, like centre midfield box to box players soon. But like we thought we'd run out after Caicedo. We're like, oh god, especially last year when we had Europe, too many games, no depth. We don't have any backbone to this team, and suddenly this guy comes good this year already after a few games. Matt O'Reilly's out injured. We haven't seen any of him either. So it's exciting times. So yeah.
Do you think though, right, like, real talk? Because like,
Hinshaw too.
remember when Southampton did this with Liverpool, and then they dried up eventually, and it went. Do you worry that could happen, or do you think because of the quality you've got in terms of behind the scenes that it will just keep happening, Adam? Like,
I mean, you can never say never. People bring up Southampton a lot. I always try and counter that with a side like Borussia Dortmund, where the teams that are designed to basically compete, but also sell their players and not prevent them to go on to, let's face it, bigger things. And that's how I think the club operates. That's a reason why we get some of the talent that we get through, because Bloom and Paul Barber, who runs things as well, they don't say, you're going to come to Brighton, we're going to sign you on a 50-year contract, you're never leaving. So no, come in here, sign 4 or 5 years, prove yourself a side that plays open, attacking football, and then you'll get your move, and we won't stop that because we'll have already found a replacement for you. Will it end at some point? Maybe, but the system, it ends with Tony Bloom, in my opinion. As long as Tony Bloom is around, the system continues to work. And look, we spent big this year. Normally, we do not spend. It's 200 million. It's hard. It's bad. I'm going to regret saying this. Don't clip it or anything. But it's hard to really fuck up after spending 200 million. Like, you might be a bit disappointed, but that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
you better have figured something out to at least stay in the Premier League for a few seasons.
You have got some really good players. I look at it and I think there's some. You can name 5 or 6 that are really exciting. Like, I actually quite like Adingra as well. I know you said he's not been performing on the wing. I think he's a good player. I think Minter is a very good buy. He looks an absolute animal at times. And obviously, we've spoken about Mitoma, Belaber. I agree with you. João Pedro, Evan Ferguson. It's like, actually, Brighton, why did we not think they would do well? Because actually, they have got the team to do well, you know? So, look, we'll see where you're at. But I certainly think that you'll be fine and definitely be top half. Before we come to some predictions, Joe, want to mention Leeds. Obviously, Rich has asked a question. Are you excited about Ellen Road being redeveloped up to 53? 53. Do you need that in the Championship, Joe? Like, what's happening there?
Do you know they might? I mean, they won't do it, will they, until when we get promoted. But yeah, do you know what really surprised me when they did the press release last week? It's the 7th biggest in England, taking out Wembley, and that really shocked me because I was like, bloody hell, we hadn't redeveloped that thing for years. So it was quite surprising that it slots straight in there. So yeah, look, we've got good ownership, and they're all about the money. You know, we know how these American ownerships work, and they'll look at that and say, listen, we can double our revenue on match day and stuff, because the facts are there's a massive waiting list at Leeds United for season tickets. So if you make the seats, they'll get filled, and if they get filled, that's more money for the football.
What's your waiting list at the moment? Ours is like 40,000 or something crazy like that.
It's about 20 odd. It's about 20 odd. But the mad thing is, actually, on that, because I put when my son was born, stuck him straight on the waiting list, right? I don't go to games anymore, but I still own a season ticket. My mate has it now.
I'm going to have to let the social services know, I think, about that. I mean,
But the thing is, right, and they do something similar at Arsenal, because our chief exec Angus Kinnear was at Arsenal and West Ham, and they put you on this waiting list. So they said, "Where are you on the waiting list?" And they went, "Oh, we don't tell you." I was like, "Well, what do you mean you don't like? There's no actual listing. They just group." And I'm like, "But some have been on there from the start, so they should get preference." So I don't even know how that works. We can't even get sight of it. I don't know if it is the same at Arsenal, Dan, but.
It's not now. We are getting told now.
Right.
There's a lot of people I know, and they'll say, "Oh, I'm 30,000th on the list."
Right,
One of the lads is 70,000th on the list. I mean,
wow.
what the heck? What happens there? You got to basically get rid of the whole of the Emirates for him just to get a chance of getting it. It's just bizarre.
Just start killing people off, boy. Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Mass murder to get a season ticket.
It's incredible. We're talking about going. Kroenke wants to go to 100,000 with us as well. Like, it's just, I don't know what's happening with it all, but it's mad, to be fair. But more importantly, how are you doing? If I'm honest, this season with Leeds, I follow your results, as you know, and I sometimes go, oh, and I sometimes go, whoa.
Yeah.
So
do you know what it is like? I'm all right. Like we doing all right. But fans aren't having Varka. It's insane. I can't get my head around it. Like we beat Cardiff away 2-0. Mr. Penalty dominated 79% possession, the highest possession on Opta records in the championship since they began in 2012, 20. But some fans are still not happy because they want, well, we should have scored more. But that's not the manager. We had the chances to score more. The players aren't putting it in the back of the net. That's not his fault. But for whatever reason, he's not a lot out on board with him. I don't understand it because he's had, when he's completed 3 seasons in the championship, he's gone up twice and got 90 points with us last season, which was normally gets you up. So I don't understand why people are having him. Do you know what I genuinely think it is? Because Bilbao fans said this. They call themselves Bielsa widows. It's almost like you've had this liquid football and anything else now just will fail in comparison. Pre-Bielsa, I'd have took this every day of the week. But now, for whatever reason, people are going, no, it's not good enough. So what do you mean? Like, we're dominating games. We've lost 1 in the league. And people, after that 1 loss, they wanted him sacked. I'm like, it was Burnley. You can't win them all. Dan, we won 2-0 against Cardiff and people wanted him gone. I don't understand it. But it almost, we were taking the piss out of Leicester fans last season.
It's okay to want him gone if he doesn't get you up again. I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair, right? But the point is, we were taking piss out of Leicester fans last season, calling them entitled for wanting Maresca sacked when they were winning games. And now our fans are doing it. But I think a lot of it is we're nervous. We're nervous because this is we must go up. And Leeds United have never had a season like that because we were perennial mid-table. Bielsa came in and it was riding the crest of a wave. But now, after seeing the summer and seeing Somerville go, Gray go, Rutter go, people go, shit, if we don't go up this year, everyone else will go. Nontos, Aaron, all these players, Joseph even. So we're like, oh, we've got to go up. So I think it's a nervousness that's probably creating it.
I think you're going to, man. Like,
we will, mate. I said that
down,
last year, though, didn't I? I said that last year.
You did, but to be fair, you should have, though, last
year.
With
a lot of confidence, mate, as well, I remember.
I also said we'd stay up with a lot of confidence, and we fucking didn't.
Ipswich did a mad, to be fair, Ipswich did a mad last year. And Southampton did you in a one-off game. That's the reason you didn't go up. You should have gone up on merit by what you did in the league, really. But you didn't. And then this year, I think you will. Look, the 3 teams that have gone down, I don't know how they're doing, Burnley United and Luton. I have no idea. But
Luton have had a shocker. They've had a shocker.
Yeah, it looks that way. It looks like they're
just picked up a little bit.
Yeah, they've won a few now. But Sheffield United are doing all right. Kiefer Moore's not doing well, though. So will that, we'll have to wait and see. But they've got Gus Hamer. Gus Hamer's scoring goals left, right and centre. Yeah. What a player. We tried to sign him and put him 13 million and he had an 18 million release clause and we didn't go in again.
Raksaki looks good at Sheffield United.
Yeah. He's
and
another one.
Got Callum O'Hare, so they put those 2 lads that made Coventry such a good side, Armour and O'Hare. I mean, and Corberan's sitting at the top. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
You go,
Sunderland with this Reggie Labria was at Lorient because when we sacked Marsh, we looked at him, but he was doing well at Lorient at the time, and he's coming at Sunderland and he's got him playing some really good stuff. So we'll have to wait and see.
I don't want West Brom to go up. They're the most boring team up and down the whole last 2 decades. I absolutely can't stand watching them.
I don't think they've got staying power, mate. I just don't think they will have. I think the cream always rises to the top, and that's why Leeds will win the league.
Clip now. Clip it. Don't let him get. He only comes on once in a blue moon, but clip him, Potsy.
Love it, man. Love it. Listen, let's get some predictions from you people. Ash, what was you going with? I know you mucked around and said 5-0. What are you actually going with?
I honestly think that Arsenal will probably beat us 2-0.
Okay, well, that's what I've gone with as well. I've gone with a 2-0 victory. So we'll say 4, or Joe thinks more. Joe thinks at least 4. Wow. I hope so. I hope we can. But there we go. Rich, what are you saying for the weekend, bruv?
I'm actually very nervous.
You got to win.
It's typical Palace to let Everton get their first win. And we don't win at Goodison. No. So I'm nervous.
They've been playing well, Rich, haven't they? They're scoring goals. Bramthwaite's back. Mikalenko's back. I can see a 1-0 shutout for Everton.
They didn't play well in the first game of the season. They were...
No. But recently, they got to go to Villa, score goals, to get in front the week after. I know they keep losing it, but with Bramthwaite back, with Mikalenko back, Michael Keane's not even a Premier League footballer, is he? Let's be honest. So,
And
yeah.
sod's law, they all come back against us. They always
Yeah.
do. But I'm going to say tentatively 2-1 Palace. Very tentative.
Go on, Rich. Go on.
Go on, Rich.
Got to back my boys.
Eagle-eyed. Football, man.
Dave, what are you saying, bro?
Well, who'd have thought I'd be sitting on this show of all shows, looking at a top half of the table game, 8th against 9th. I guess the key factor that everybody will talk about is the fact that Morgan's not going to play. He's out. Nuno is on the bench. I thought he might be upstairs with his Bluetooth and his phone telling the other guy on the bench what to do. So if Morgan had been missing, if this game had been taking place like last year or the year before, and Morgan had been missing, I'd have had Fulham to win relatively comfortably. But I just think Forest have got a few more options this time. I think what Nuno's done, he's made the squad leaner, but I think he's got a couple of options in pretty much in every position now. So my guess is that he'll stick either Elliot Anderson, who's been a really good signing actually on the quiet, is a good lad, or maybe James Ward-Prowse will allow some, will sort of sit in there. So I think it's going to be a good game actually, because I think Fulham are really good. Emil Smith-Rowe is going to be a huge threat. Raul Jimenez is in good form. They're a good bunch. I mean, most of the predictions I've seen, so I've seen 1-1s most of the way, but it just depends how much the City Ground crowd plays a part. If Forest were to score early and the City Ground crowd then became a 12th man, it might be difficult for Fulham. I mean, the thing is, Fulham came to us last year when we were playing really poor, and Fulham are actually going quite well. And we beat them 3-1, and in the first half, we just obliterated them. They came back into it second half. So I don't think it'd be the same sort of game. I think it'd be tight, but I'm going to stick my neck out, and I'll probably get clipped for this, and the unbeaten run will be completely knackered by my big gob. And I'm going to say Forest are going to win 1-0, but it won't be pretty.
Yeah, it's interesting. Joe's getting pelters in the chat, man. It's quite funny. It's Locks, man. He's ganging up basically.
Pelters from one person, is it?
You do know that Locks spends more time watching Leeds United content creators than anybody else. I've had a bet with him, right? He's got a crusty old bag of Salt and Vardy. Do you remember Lord Walker's?
Yeah,
and he's got a packet of Salt and Vardy behind him. And I've said if we get promoted and they get relegated, he's got to eat them. So, not only will he have to open them, which is a memento from the Premier League season, he'll have to eat some crisps that are about, when did you win the Premier League? About 10 years ago, something like that.
8 years.
Yeah. Hopefully he gets food poisoning from it. You know what I mean? So.
Big up, Locks, man. Big up, Locks. Listen, it's Joe. You might as well. What you got the weekend, man?
Coventry, mate. We've got Matt Robbins' Coventry at home, and like I say, we only got a point against them last season. He's a very good manager, although it's not going well for him at the minute. A lot of them, I'm hearing murmurings they want him gone which is crazy because he's mad. They've spent money though. This is the thing: when you spend money, expectation goes up. And I know they lost Gyökeres and Hamer, but they've spent like 40 million now, so it's like. The fans want to see something, but I think they'd be crazy to sack him. I'm actually quite worried about the game. We need to win. Let's go for a 2-1 tentative Leeds United win. 2-1, yeah.
Excellent. Adam, what's going to happen at the weekend, bro? Chelsea, please beat them because Chelsea fans doing my head in.
Go on, Adam.
Yeah, I hate this game. And by the way, I don't know if you looked at our fixture list, and we thought we just had a nice kind run of games playing at home that we'd pick up a decent amount of points from, and we didn't. We've got to play in the next 6 games: Chelsea, Spurs, Newcastle, Liverpool, and Man City.
Wow!
So that would be quite fun. I hope that Chelsea are going to come out on the front foot. We will not defend. It's going to be high scoring. I'm going to go deluded and say we win 3-2, but I am terrified of the pace they've got on the wings and up front to do something to us when we push up. But just got to hope we do something on the the opposite direction, because I don't know, they're not particularly amazing at the back, are they? They've got
I mean, Fofana
Brighton rejects back there. So
yeah. Kukurea, Colwell, Fofana.
Sanchez.
I think Gusto's back now, which is a shame for you, because Disasi was a disaster at right back. It was embarrassing. And Matoma,
is Gusto back?
I think so. I'm sure he played last night, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, yeah, they're fresh off the back of their amazing 5-0 victory against Barrow, aren't they? So
that's right.
Riding high.
Yeah, good side, Barrow, in top of league too.
Yeah, that's right. Listen, I'm going to go for a Desmond. I think it will be a good game, high scoring like yourself. But hopefully you're right, because I need to shut these Chelsea fans up who now think they're in a title race all of a sudden. That's what they believe. There's a few of them that have said, I think we keep our players fit. I can see us up there with Arsenal and City. Wow. Jeez, it's unbelievable, really. Nicholas Jackson is the new Didier Drogba to them. And,
like Janet Jackson.
Is the new Petr Cech.
Scoring goals, though. What's that stat about him having more open play goals than Isak and Havertz and all this?
Yeah, he's scoring goals. He's got the stats there, but have you seen how much he misses in front of goal? My God, it's embarrassing, isn't it? Really is. But
how many? Just remind me again. How many passes did Havertz complete against?
He made one. He made one.
Oh, did he actually?
That's wrong. Yeah, they got the stats
wrong.
wrong.
It was zero.
Funny. It was funny. I think the pass that he did make actually come off the back of Man City player, so it doesn't count as a pass. But he did make one. Anyway, let's look at this, because this is making me laugh. Locks is proper not happy here. Leicester have spent 80 million this transfer window, but that fraud Cooper can only manage an XG of 1.6 against Everton. Get him gone.
Oh, buys though, man. When you're buying, no disrespect to these players, but Decordova, Reed, Ayew, they're not.
Oliver Skip.
Man. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They got Skip and Winks.
Another bloke named after Chris.
On Saturday, Skip and Winks in midfield. They'll get a good reception, Ash, at our place. Not.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And now apparently Locke says that indeed he's now a number 10. What's all this about? I thought he was a holding midfielder.
That's where they're playing him at the minute, yeah. We brought Brananate in from Brighton on loan, who looked really positive, and we're still sticking Ndidi in that position.
But didn't Maresca play him there though?
He did, indeed, yes, he did.
So it's okay. This is what I'm saying. You were all Locks, and this is to Locks. You were praising him last season. And did he playing in the 10 under Maresca? It's amazing. Now Cooper's doing it. Get him out. Make your mind up, bro. What is it?
But Buonanotte looked electric the first couple of games, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
he did.
And he looked. I know we were rubbish when we went through on penalties, but he was the only player on the pitch the other night as well. So I can't see why we're not.
Locks did actually say to me on the preview I did with him yesterday that he has actually played quite well there. So indeed, there we go. Listen, people, we got to move because I'm supposed to be on another show now and I'm late. So apologies to Neil, but I'm going to come now. Dave, big up to yourself. Ash, big up to you.
Cheers,
Adam, thank you for coming on, man. Absolute pleasure. Joe, big up to yourself, mate, for coming on. Really appreciate it. And Rich,
Cooper in.
Make sure you go follow all of these guys.
I said that before.
Make sure you go follow all these guys on socials. And listen, we'll see you next time, people. Peace.
Cooper in.